And as the region's biggest economy, Brazil reflects these dynamics for better or worse.
Aiming to build sustainable, socially responsible economies while strengthening democratic participation and citizen empowerment.
Hello, and welcome to a special talk event on international affairs. Today we're going to be discussing Japan and Brazil, prospects for cooperation. My name is Jonathan Soble. I'm a former Tokyo bureau chief for the Financial Times, now a partner at CREAB Japan, a strategic communications company in Tokyo. Joining me today as my co-host is Professor Murakami Yusuke of Kyoto University. Professor Murakami is a specialist in Latin American politics. He's also extensively researched the relationships between Japan and Latin American countries. And until last year, he was president of the Japan Association for Latin American Studies. Professor, it's great to have you as my co-host today.
Thank you very much.
Now, I understand that in addition to your academic work here at Kyoto, before you joined the university, you were a researcher at the Japanese embassy in Peru. Yes. So you've had sort of on-the-ground firsthand experience of some of the dramatic changes in contemporary Latin American politics.
That's right. It's very contrasting changes.
That's right. Yeah, so tell me a little bit about your work then.
Okay, and first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this fascinating program. I originally studied Mexico first. At that time, it's still a bit closed society as all the continent of Latin America. But after that, we later will talk about that opening, economically market-friendly opening. And that's a dramatic change until now. But anyway, I first studied in Mexico in 1980s. But I had a chance to work in Peru for the first 5 years of Alberto Fujimori's presidency in 1990s. And since then, my research have mainly focused on Peru, but at the same time, including some comparative studies on Brazil and other Latin American countries. So I'm now here.
Right.
Thank you.
So Peru, the region, and of course Japan and the region.
Yes.
That's great. Our special guest today is Professor Kawai Saori of Ryukoku University, which is also here in Kyoto. Professor Kawai is an expert on the economies of Latin America and in particular Brazil. It's really good to have you with us today. Like Professor Murakami, I know that you have studied Brazil academically, but you've also done on-the-ground research at the Japanese embassy in Brazil and more recently as a visiting fellow at the University of Brasilia. Isn't that right? Tell us a little bit about the focus of your research.
Thank you for the introduction. Since my graduate school years, I have keenly interested in Brazilian economy and development studies. Brazil experienced very good time during the 2000s and also very not good time during the 2010s. During this period, my interest widened not only the economic aspect, but also into political dynamics. In 2019, I have an opportunity to join a joint research project, Brazil-Japan, and had the opportunity to co-author the paper on development cooperation with an expert in international relations. The findings are published in a book, Brazil-Japan Cooperation, From Complementarity to Shared Value. And I continue to pursue several research questions on development cooperation, especially between Japan and Brazil.
Yeah, Professor Murakami, I mean, as someone who's senior in the field, I know you've appreciated the kind of approach that she's brought to her research. Can you tell us a little bit more about Professor Kawai's contribution to the field?
Sure. I would say what makes Dr. Kawai unique is her ability to expand her research from the economy and society into the political sphere. Generally, her work falls under political economy. And as is the case with me and my main colleagues, normally political scientists often develop interest in economic dynamics. But here in Japan, particularly Latin American studies in Japan, there have been always some economists who also focus on politics. And Dr. Kawai precisely represents the new generation in that research tradition here in Japan. So I highly appreciate her efforts also.
That's great.